Today we're discussing emerging trends in the parenting workspace. Often when we begin a discussion, it's easiest for me to criticize myself. So I'm going to start by doing that. 6 years of creating, hosting, and co-producing this show, and I often get called a mompreneur. I feel quite flattered because a mompreneur is a neologism or a new term for someone who's balancing being a hands-on mom and an entrepreneur. But when I look around, I wonder if mompreneurs are taken as seriously as entrepreneurs. When we go out to raise funding to get sponsors for the show, am I taken as seriously as if I were an entrepreneur? I decided it may be interesting to explore this and to explore other trends in the parenting workspace. On the show today, we're discussing emerging trends in the parenting workspace with multitasking superstar mom Farah Khan.
When I'm making a movie, if I'm shooting outdoor, I will make sure my children come when their holidays are there.
And a Pow Wow with entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, and startups in the parenting workspace.
I'm happy to be called a mompreneur. There's sort of this connotation that you are less of an entrepreneur, so I just don't really like it.
And a feature story with a cross-generational mompreneurial venture, Knitting Nani.
I'm proud of this.
These girls. We met a very successful multitasking mom who's made a huge success in an industry that's predominantly male-dominated. So today we have a very, very special guest. She is a brilliant director, producer, actor, superstar mother, multitasker, super wife, the list goes on and on. We have the fantastic Farah Khan.
Stop it, Tara. You're really embarrassing me now.
You are all those things and more.
Yeah,
and
I know. I'm just being fakely modest.
Honestly, you do everything so gracefully and with such ease.
I think women just do everything with a lot of, not ease, I would say. They don't grumble and complain about it as much as a man would do.
That's a very good point. Whether it's biological, whether it's nature or nurture, you are the primary caregiver, right?
Yes,
At home?
yes, I am. Sirf bachon ke liye nahi. I think I'm the primary caregiver for everybody, including not, of course, Shirish, the fourth child. But your own parents, you still look after them. My staff, I look after them. My assistants, the people, when I make a movie, I am mother hen.
Yeah, so who looks after you?
Yeah, we need someone, no? Sometimes I wish I want to go away and have someone just look after me. But my kids do. They're very sweet. They'll bring cream and they'll massage my feet, and my daughters will make my hair. And
Lovely. When you're shooting a film, for example, how do you balance the whole
see, when I'm making a movie, it is quite an act. I'm the captain of the ship, and I can't be having date problems and time problems. Even then, I would, when I'm making a schedule in the children's holidays, right from the beginning, and say that these 10 days we can't shoot. So you have to do that. And if I'm shooting outdoor, I will make sure my children come when their holidays are there to be with me on the set, or after school they come. But that's a killer.
But you're really good at juggling it all, because I know you're very hands-on and you're there for everything. Like
I'm there for
judo tournaments.
Judo tournaments in Navi Mumbai and Dharavi. I think I should get the award for the mother who attends the maximum birthday parties.
But that's amazing.
With the children.
That's amazing. And honestly, with 3, because see, I always feel I have 2 arms, so somewhere I can hold both of them. But just the logistics of 3, what is the dynamic with the kids? Are they really good friends to each other?
They are very good friends too. They are very good. Actually, I'm blessed. I have 2 girls and 1 boy. So the fighting is really minimal.
That's amazing.
Actually, I had to stop my girls from going to a ballet class because they wouldn't take my son in. And they said it's only for girls. And I was like, no, sorry, but he wants to go for ballet also. So then we found another class, and of course, he was the only boy in that class.
Yeah, it's interesting because, see, kids don't have stereotypes.
Absolutely not.
They're the cleanest, open-minded, most open-minded. It's later that you have these societal...
I can already see it happening. The stereotypes mostly come from school. They come from the kids, their friends, and what they probably see on television.
Yeah, no, I agree. But Farah, talking of gender and stereotypes and stuff, you broke all the norms when it came to being such a successful choreographer and director in a male-dominated industry, right?
I always say that the film industry, I don't know about actresses, but when it comes to technicians, I didn't really face a resistance because, oh, she's a girl and she cannot do anything. And I think I also never played the gender card because from childhood, my brother and me were treated
equally.
In fact, maybe I was treated a little bit better than him in terms of more freedoms were given to me. And he was allowed to do certain things only if I was going there, or if Farah's going out for the night. Okay, then you're allowed to go out
Yeah.
It was never the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking of, when I say struggle, now your kids,
Yeah.
they have access to a
many
lot
things.
more because you've
All our kids.
already done it.
I think for all the parents who have come up the hard way
Yeah.
and then want to give a better life to their kids,
Yeah.
is how much do you give?
Yeah.
And how much do you
Hold back.
Yeah, because you've worked so hard so that your kids can enjoy a great life. I sat in a plane when I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
My children have already traveled 21 times by the time they're 8 years old.
There's that famous quote that says, give your kids enough that they can do something, but don't give them too much that they don't do anything.
Exactly.
Tell me something, is Shirish like hands-on with the kids?
Very hands-on. Tara, like you say, I do it all. I don't do it all alone. I can't do it all alone.
Yeah.
If Shirish is not there.
Absolutely.
So hands-on. You can't go out and have a career and go for shoots and just leave the children. So you have to have a spouse
who's supportive,
who
and
is also
encourages
hands-on.
what you
And
do.
yes, from 2 days he's not been home. He's been doing music and the children are lost. Like, who will make a printout for our homework and where is Dada and where?
Yeah.
So I just realized that how hands-on he is.
So like you said, we're not doing it alone. We have infrastructure. We're lucky in a country like this.
I have an army at home, I want to tell you.
This is, of course, if you'd like to talk about it, the process when you got pregnant.
Yeah.
The procedure you went through with
Oh
IVF
God,
and
lot of
stuff. Was it a
procedures.
stressful process? Was it a tough
it is
thing?
for anybody who's going through IVF. I can't say that it is not stressful. And I was making Om Shanti Om at that time. So I would go early morning, 7 o'clock, all the way to hospital because I only wanted Dr. Firoza to give me my shots. After that, I would travel back to Film City, finish shooting the whole day, then go back in the evening for my evening shot. 5 injections a day, and then the hormones are working overtime. So you're all the time weepy and crying. And luckily, I didn't have any spousal pressure. It's just that we wanted to have one. And then every time it fails. You're a mess. You're lying in bed for 3 days and crying because you're also so pumped up with hormones. But see, when you want something, then you go that extra mile to do
absolutely.
it.
So also now, Farah, I know you do a lot to give back to society. I know you do a lot for various causes.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you're particularly passionate about?
Right now, the main cause in my house is World for All, which is looks after stray animals. And they resuscitate them, they take them, then they give them up for adoption. So my daughter is a volunteer at World for All, all of 8 years old. Been doing it since a year. She goes for all the adopt-a-thons and all.
Wow. So now, Farah, we'd love you to choose something that we'll auction for the charity of your choice.
Okay, so let me find a nice piece that is compact and that I can... That stool is lovely, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice
It's a really nice piece. Can we have that, please?
And I think it'll auction well. Why stand when you can sit? Thank you, Farah. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Really
Tara, for
lovely
having me.
you.
I love this stool. Please
Should we carry it? Pick it up?
pay lots of money for it because a lot of little animals will get rescued and my
that's
daughter will be very happy.
That is really lovely. You know, multitasker and all that with a very big heart.
Thank you.
Coming up, an interesting discussion on emerging trends in the parenting workspace.
I'm happy to be called a mompreneur. There's sort of this connotation that you are less of an entrepreneur. So I just don't really like it.
It's quality over quantity. At least mentally, the intent is to be a more balanced parent.
And a special meeting with the family behind Knitting Nani.
I'm proud of these
girls. As always, it was lovely talking to Farah. We met a really interesting bunch of people who are making successes of their ventures. Some entrepreneurs, some in regular corporate jobs, some mompreneurs, and we even discussed the term. Thank you so much for being here today. I know Carla here actually has an issue with the very word mompreneur. Carla, tell us about that.
I think all of us who have started businesses and also happen to be mothers know that this is a 24-hour work cycle and the work bleeds into everything we do, but we're also constantly moms. There's sort of this connotation that you are less of an entrepreneur and that you're doing something sort of cute and not on par with your male counterparts. So I just don't really like it.
That's a really good point. Ruchi, you pride yourself on being called a mompreneur.
Yes, I do.
right?
I do. I'm happy to be called a mompreneur, but I don't think it's a discount because let's be honest, the men or rather the dads, as much as they would like to be part of the equal parenting thing, they can't fight biology. You are the primary caregiver. You will give birth. You will have certain responsibilities that your husband or the father can't take over.
The reason why I was even interested in this topic is when so-called women entrepreneurs, whether they're mothers or not, when we go out to look for VC funding and things like that, if we do, are we taken as seriously outside? Or is there an element of saying, look, we know that deep down your main priority is your kids. I'm guilty of that, you know? So I'm going to actually come to Rupak now. As a successful male entrepreneur, we love each other and we're very happily married, but I'm honestly asking you, do you actually see me as an entrepreneur?
Some form of preneur, yes. I love you and all, but I don't think it could qualify as being an entrepreneur. To be an entrepreneur, you need to be creating sustainable value, not just for yourself, but for other people in the form of employment and stakeholders around you and partners, etc. So I think there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and being self-employed. And the same way that a dad who is a stay-at-home dad and who would be self-employed and running a business from home by themselves, they would be a dadpreneur, right? If they were creating sustainable value with a whole company and employing people, etc., they'd be entrepreneurs. So the short answer is no, I think you're a mompreneur.
That's a very good point. And honestly, how come you've never told me all that in these last 5 years when I've been actually grappling? Because, you know, we get invited for all these panel discussions and stuff, and I always feel very good. And then Rupak's invited for some major investor meeting, you know, thing, and I'm invited to like the Mother's Day panel, you know?
I have a question.
thing.
I'm just saying that in any enterprise, right, you grow. You don't like start off with a big enterprise, right? So wouldn't a mompreneur slowly kind of grow into a full-fledged entrepreneur as you take on people and then you make it a far bigger thing than what you actually started off from?
And that's the process of evolution from being a mompreneur to an entrepreneur.
yeah.
You know, the perception of the word mompreneur is that you're not taking it as serious as an entrepreneur. Your, goals in mind, the revenue models in mind, the financial aspect of the whole thing. It just gives me that perception and to a whole lot of people that you're not as serious. It's all right for you to be just breaking even. It's all right for you to take time. I think that's the impression that it kind of gives me.
And that's a really good point because you come from a corporate background. Just recently on one of these numerous mothers groups that we're all on, somebody recently said that they're having a bit of a midlife crisis and they want to move away perhaps from the corporate world, and most people were encouraging them, and I was very interested to see that you said don't quit your job. You've got a very high paying job, you've reached such a senior place, don't jump into what's perhaps just a trend of starting your own venture.
Because, I did take a break when my son was born. I took a 1.5-year break. And I know how tough it is to be able to get projects, to be able to get retainers. So it's not a vacation. It's not taking time off. It's not about devoting all your time, to home. If you want to have a career, if you want to have an entrepreneurship, then be prepared that it's going to be as tough for you as being a senior women professional is in the corporate world.
Also, what's very interesting is we have Naya here, who's not a mother and saw potential in the parenting space. And I think what makes this interesting to me is that it's actually a very lucrative space. And it's an industry where you have people who have nothing to do perhaps with being parents, who are coming in.
For the last 5 years, I've been working extensively in management consulting, doing maternal and child healthcare. So when I moved back to India, I felt that Baby Chakra was the one platform I could create that could, bring my passion of, having happier, more connected, healthier families and moms come together to make better care choices for themselves and the children. But also it's a $15 billion market in India today, right? So personally, my team and I found this a place where it all kind of interjected, came very beautifully together.
Carla and Naya, you saw it as a space and there was a very clear direction that we are going to start this venture. And I think perhaps that's where you see the entrepreneur, mompreneur.
$15 billion industry, there's no doubt that this entire space, the parenting and the kiddie space, is a huge economic opportunity. Yeah. What I like about it in particular is we're all coming at it from different angles and we're all targeting a slightly different audience. So, the possibilities are endless and there's a lot of space for entrepreneurs to kind of find a niche in this market.
On the mompreneur point, just my, one take on that is a rose by any other name is just as sweet. Frankly, if you're a mompreneur, you're an entrepreneur, I really don't care. Just bring in the value, show up to work every day, give it 100%, and you're set.
So we've had such an interesting discussion here, but how do we translate that into something that's meaningful and hopefully helpful to some of you out there. So in this context, what can we do maybe to help?
40% of the businesses on Baby Chakra have been started by moms who in the second innings as mompreneurs, right? So, write to me at Baby Chakra. Happy to help and see how we can grow your business better and faster.
I just wanted to say that not all funds are focused purely on financial gain, right? There are social impact funds, etc. And there's no reason that you can't bring together, or we can't bring together a bunch of LPs or limited partners who invest in funds to create a fund who themselves may have at one point been in that situation of perhaps either being mompreneurs or being entrepreneurs who were balancing parenting and entrepreneurship at the same time, and have the objective of the fund be to support such entrepreneurs.
That's a very good idea. I think if we could do that, that would be fantastic.
I'd love to contribute to that fund, by the way. Rupak's account me in.
Yeah, let's do that.
I also think, Tara, sometimes the mompreneurs could do better if they were given serious professional advice and also a push and focus in, coaching. And I think there is an opportunity there too, it's a mentoring marketplace.
I think men out there who are watching the show, I think what is more important is that for a mompreneur to get the support from home, we need to have more conversations with the men out there to get it, what it means to be a mompreneur.
Indian women report the highest stress levels of women anywhere in the world, okay? Right. And actually when they dug into why, right? It was because women are increasingly being pressured to be financially independent, to leave the home, to pursue opportunities outside the home. But the same traditional family values are pulling them back into the home. So they are stuck between these two worlds. The only way to really free them from those pressures and that stress is to have their partners step up and really be equal partners.
In terms of the way I look at whatever we've talked about in parenting, as a workaholic entrepreneur, I recently read Clay Christensen's How Will You Measure Your Life? And what he talks about is that these moments, you can't be like, I'm going to work for these 10 years and then after I'm going to do the parenting bit for the next 5 years and then do this. It all has to happen in parallel because these moments keep going away and disappearing, right? And so I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss out on these moments. And like you said, it's quality over quantity. At least mentally, the intent is to be a more balanced parent.
And I will hold you to that next time you're working on a Sunday.
You can always edit it out, right?
So thank you all so much for being on this Pow Wow. It's really been a pleasure and see you again soon. Coming up, a wonderful meeting with the family behind Knitting Nani.
We have our, share of differences. But at the same time, both of us know that we want the best for Knitting Nani.
We heard some really interesting views on the emerging trends in the parenting workspace. What came to light is that the rules for mompreneurs and entrepreneurs are often quite different. Scaling up may not always be the answer for a mompreneur. Often the value of being with the family and with the children is of greater worth than having a big venture. But as always, I say each to their own. We met a venture where 3 generations are working together to create an enterprise. Here's Knitting Nani. Hi Gayatri.
Hi, good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to chat to your family.
Please come.
Thank you so much for having me here. I know that the thought of Knitting Nani came from 89-year-old Nani ji. Yeah. But tell us, how did you actually decide to make a venture and a parenting venture out of Nani's hobby of knitting?
Nani, she spends a good 3-4 months with me every year when mummy is traveling. And she would have her orders all the time. She would be making something for someone or gifting it to people.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought that, I was researching and I realized that a lot of people definitely make a lot of knitwear for their kids, for their grandkids at home. But something what Nani was making is not available anywhere, or people can't, they do not have that kind of a finish also. Yes. That was a big wake-up call for me that, hey, something can be done over here.
So Nani, it's your idea that has brought everyone together to create a really successful startup venture, Knitting Nani. So how do you feel?
I'm proud of
these girls. And I hope
because they are developing things.
Yes. Being a family show, and cliched as it sounds, you always have the jokes of, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, and this and that. So how does it work actually working together?
We have our, share of differences. But at the same time, both of us know that we want the best for Knitting Nani. She knows how to handle all of us very
she's
well.
the moderator
So she's
and
the
the-
moderator. Yeah, the whip.
The whip, the
Gayatri
dynamic.
is the big boss.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. That's really great. And Nani ji, would you like to give any message?
सगळ्या वयस्कर माणसांनी काहीतरी हॉबी ठेवली पाहिजे. कोणी निटिंगची ठेवा, वाचनची ठेवा.
I agree.
त्यामुळे ती हॉबी ठेवता येत नाही. कलरिंग, पेंटिंग तेही होत नाही. हात चालत नाहीत. त्यामुळे हे एक सोपी गोष्ट आहे की जे आपल्या करत बसायचं आणि चालू पडायचं.
Thank you, Nani ji. And I think for all of you out there, if you have a dream, forget your age. You can always make it happen. If you've got great team,
Yeah.
and if that team is in the family and it happens to be mums, then you really can make a great cross-generational mompreneurial venture. Okay. So, thank you, Knitting Nani. It's been really a pleasure.
I also thank you.
Thank you, Tara.
As always, I say each to their own. But what's been really inspiring and encouraging in what we've heard on the show today is that if you really want to carve out your own niche and excel in it, you can. Of course, it's not always easy. You need the right infrastructure and support. But if there's a will, there's a way. It reminds me of what my dad, Tara Sharma, often said to me. If something you want to do doesn't exist, create it. And I think that's happening a lot around us. So there certainly are trends in the parenting workspace, and some of them are here to stay. Till we meet here again, bye-bye. Each new phase of life brings with it new experiences and learning.
I have become a much better person in this transition.
We met a new mom and saw how life's changed for her ever since baby number 2.
Gorgeous.
We also had a tete-a-tete with Soha Ali Khan, who spoke about her transition from being single to married.
My mother told me, she said, why are you marrying an actor? It's going to complicate your life.
And an interesting powwow with people from different walks of life made us realize that sometimes transitions that seem difficult on the surface could actually turn into great experiences.
I've lived 4 different lives over the past 10 years itself. So in terms of adjusting, we all adjust.